Broads Media.
In about 1 minute, I'm going to be filled with rage. Before I'm filled with rage, though, hello, welcome on in. If you are new to the channel, and if you are interested in Philadelphia heartbreak, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate it. You could take me on your road trips to work, on your road trips to vacation. All you got to do is search Sports Talk with Broads on any of your podcasting platforms. And if you leave a 5-star rating and a review there, it really helps out the algorithms. So thank you so much. And lastly, before I really lose my mind, if you want more Broads Media content, all you have to do is join the community right here on YouTube. And you can get access to Coffee with Broads, where we live stream twice a week. That's 8 times a month. All the information is down below. You get access to our Discord channel. Okay, that's not why you're here. Oh, shut up. Now that I'm done plugging in all this stuff, and enjoy the show. This is a fucking nightmare. This is a fucking nightmare that I'm living in right now. You just got embarrassed by the Mets in game 1 after Zack Wheeler throws the gemmest gem to ever gem. 30 swing and misses. You can't make that up. When you see it on the stat sheet, you go, what? This is going to be equivalent to when Wilt dropped 100 points in an NBA game and nobody even believed it was real. That's how sexy of an effort that was. Iglesias, it's a double play. He's bitching because of a 2-0 count where he's flailing, thinking he's going to get hit nonstop. So when the 2-0 pitch comes in and it's close to the inside part of the plate, of course the ump behind the dish is going to call it a strike because of the stupid antics that you were doing. But I digress. None of that is as cool as it was in the moment, watching Wheeler get out of some trouble. Throwing 98, 99 nonstop. Fastball was electric, but don't get me started on the split. Sensational. While the Mets threw a guy who hasn't been healthy all year. Outside of Kyle Schwarber's leadoff bomb, you did absolutely nothing against him. And then they go 6+ and change with the damn bullpen. You weren't effective a lick. Rojas gets on base after working a tremendous at-bat in the 5th to walk. He gets to second base, goes nowhere. I thought Marsh was going to get one to right field when Stott was on second to give us a boost, to add insurance, to get a 3-0 lead, but it died at the wall. My number one blame for this game in particular, while everybody is in the crosshairs of criticism, because Nick was chasing again. It was so dumb to swing at some of those pitches. And same with Trey Turner. Both of them offensively made me sick. So did Alec Boehm in that little late surge they had in the 8th when they had first and third. Bryce gets the double. Nick gets the single through the infield. My man is hacking at a 90-mile-per-hour pitch over the heart of the plate and does diddly squat dick with it. Unacceptable. While the offense is a huge target and has to change or else this thing is over, I am more disappointed in the bullpen. And this is my logic. This is the playoffs. You're not competing against the Washington Nationals anymore. This isn't the Marlins. Although the Marlins will probably bend you over and you'd lose by 6, knowing how they take care of business against you. But I digress. You have to show up and compete and win tight games. If it was 5-4 and you needed 6 outs, that's the same to me if it's 1-0 and you need 6 outs. At some point, when you get to the 8th or 9th, the meat and potatoes are done. You are in a position. You're up 1. Get the job done. If it's 7-6, get the job done. If it's 8-7, get the job done. If it's 3-2, get the job done. If it's 1-0, get the job done. And the most irritating part about it is when you go to your best arms, Hoffman is winning. He's getting ahead in the count 0-2. Put him away. Execute. Same with Strom. 9-hole hitter. Lindor. It's unacceptable how that 8th shaped out. Unacceptable. And your bullpen can't implode that brutally. Look, if by the end of the day, the Mets scored 1 run in the 8th, they tie it up, and then it's a fresh new slate, and it starts then and there, I get it. You can't shut out a team forever. But you got exposed and attacked and crucified. And now they know they can get to you. This is deflating. You used Kirkering as well. And hell, we live in a world where I got in game 1 of the playoffs the equivalent to Garrett Stubbs pitching. That's Tanner Banks. I guess you can make the argument that Colby Allard would be Garrett Stubbs, but Tanner Banks has no business being in a position ever that matters in the postseason. So when he's in, that means the game's all tied in a bow. I just prefer it be a maybe because the Phils are up 7-0. Not getting their teeth kicked in. Here's the Mets, tacking on runs late. What's up with this new NFL rule we got over at second base, by the way, with Bryson Stott bobbling the ball after the tag was already applied? Not that it matters, but watching that run score didn't make me feel any better in the moment, just more pathetic. That's as bad as it gets for a game 1 at home, coming off the bye, talking a big game about not necessarily the time off, but not falling into the same trap that you fell into in previous years. And when Rob was asked about it after the game, he was asked, was it more of what the Mets were doing? Was it more of what you were doing just on a personal basis with the approach? Said probably a combination of both. Well, that's terrible. Because the whole league knows how to go after you, and you're even falling back into it and falling for the tricks. So you better get your head out of your ass, because it comes down to game 2. Big spot for Christopher Sanchez. There's a lot of Phillies fans down and out saying this series is done. I'm not one of them. But game 2 is as big as it gets. For not only the starter, which is a huge position for him to go into, but also for this lineup. Rough day at the office. Rough day. Still can't even believe it that it was that embarrassing. When I say I think I'm living in a nightmare, I mean it. Some of those Trey at-bats, I felt food coming back up my esophagus. And I had to swallow it back down. And I'm like, ew. The only time I like saying ew is when it's Zack Wheeler looking like a monster. Because I've seen a million Zack Wheeler starts, and I've seen a shit ton of Zack Wheeler postseason starts. That's the best I've seen. Even when he started to dance around with the little traffic and he was, quote, maybe losing it a bit, and the adrenaline helped out early, and then, more of reality hit as he settled into the game. The 4th, 5th, 6th innings, that was so filthy. Clocking in at that high 90, as electric as he was, throwing the high fastballs, going after Pete Alonso, having some of that nasty stuff that breaks in on right-handers. They're swinging at pitches that are almost hitting them 8 feet in, but the movement, ew. See what I'm saying? That's the ew that I could stand for. So underrated, and you lost the game. You cannot lose a game when your starter goes that deep into it and holding the Mets to that little of production. That's on you, Hoffman. The shitty broadcast said it best. That was the worst broadcast of all time, by the way. The most pathetic. But one of the things they referenced was the morale. The second Wheels leaves the game, get him out. There's new life automatically when it's someone else, even if it is a magnificent reliever by the numbers' sake. It's the anyone but method. Anybody but Zack Wheeler will inspire them. Hell, the Phils have been in that before. No, at this rate, I could go out there and probably get 6 Ks. Just throw it 6 feet off the plate or the boom. I'll throw something slow right over the middle. But there are times where they're getting shelled by an opponent, where their ace is lined up against you, and then you finally get into their pen. You get one base runner on. Now the boys are chirping in the dugout, giving you some momentum, clapping. Hoffman has to be prepared for that. And when you're constantly going up in the count, 0-2, and you're putting yourself at such an advantage, think about what the numbers say. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but I'm going to tell you that if you're down 0-2, you're probably not going to execute at a high clip. You're not going to do the damage that you want. So you're putting yourself in the advantage before you fold and collapse. It would be different if it wasn't his day. Sometimes relievers get out there and you know pretty quickly, yeah, probably not. I don't see how this one's getting done. But that's not how it looked. He's fighting. He's winning until he only needs 1 strike to go. Then I'm watching nonsense. How? How did that just happen? Playoff baseball's the best, but damn it, it's the worst. And I wasn't as down as everyone else was in the middle of the game. I didn't think automatic loss because of the way Wheels was going. I actually believed, even knowing the identity and the DNA of this Mets team and how they scrap back, I had faith in Hoffman and Strom to get 6 outs. They didn't need 9. Wheels going through that 7th was monstrous. Now his pitch count was getting up there. And if you're a fool, and if you're an idiot, you're mad at Rob for pulling Zach. Believe it or not, my mentions are getting blown up right now. Shocker. The amount of individuals that wanted Wheels to keep going, no! That's managerial malpractice. Truth be told, I'm worried about his next start, if we even get there, and how this can affect his pitch count and the distance he can throw. Well, I mean, at that point, the season's on the line. To be fair, if this thing goes 5, still a chance for it to go 4. Then we're in a totally different discussion. We'll worry about that path when we get there. But my point is that pitch count was going through the roof even with the tremendous win. That's why you got to get this one. He did all that and lost. You used all your high leverage guys and lost. Now I have to feel good about potentially Hoffman again tomorrow? Knowing the pressure, knowing the fans, knowing the fact that, there's no playing games, dude. Now's the time. If you throw a ball or throw two balls, now it's 2-0 count. You can feel everybody stressing out. And he's got to overcome that adversity, as well as focusing in on the moment and actually nailing down his pitches. Unreal. Just unreal. What else is unreal, of course, is garage beer. 0% IPA, 100% light beer, 1,000% quality. As soon as you open up my fridge here down in the man cave, I'm looking at it through my studio door because, of course, I have my garage beer right here in handy, especially when I have to watch crap like that. It flows down the esophagus and feels like I need it with times like this. Garage beer, the only beer. Check out the information down below in the description. Okay. We'll take calls. We'll take anytime hotline calls. We'll hear how the people are feeling.
Bros, I mean, that was just a flat-out embarrassment that the Phillies just put on there at Citizens Bank Park today. Let every single Philly fan down. Every single Philly fan is just embarrassed. We're all disgusted. We all really cannot believe our eyes right now that you let our arch rivals, which I don't care that they're smoking hot right now. I understand that, but they are not a better baseball team than you. I really don't believe so. I don't believe so at all. And they're playing much better baseball than you. But where was this offense? Where's Bryce Harper? Where's Castellanos? Where's Trey Turner? Where is JT Realmuto? Where's Alec Boehm? This offense, once again, in key moments, go silent, like they did in games 6 and 7 of the NLCS last year, like they did in games 4, 5, and 6 of the World Series last year. It's the same damn thing all over again. This offense goes mute. Besides one bomb from Schwarber, which was awesome, got the crowd into it, we did nothing the rest of the game offensively. Yeah, nice Cody Clemens RBI double when it was all too late. I mean, it's just bad. Just bad, and tomorrow's a must-win. They don't win tomorrow, the series is over. It absolutely is over, and what an embarrassment. And that's all I can say, man. What a fucking disgrace.
So there's a few things I want to attack here. One I agree with you on, which is I do believe the Phillies are a better team than the New York Mets. All the teams left standing are some version of solid. That doesn't mean the Mets are one of the worst teams ever here. I'm not taking shots at the Mets, but I believe the Phillies are a better team than the Mets. The Mets scrapped this one out, and it's disgusting. So we agree there. We disagree in a couple other areas. One, I'm not blaming Bryce Harper. I can't blame Bryce Harper. When you get walked 2 times and then you have the double, it's pretty obvious they said someone else have at it. Someone else have at it. They weren't even, at times it was just balls. I think they were saying that he wasn't swinging in the first 10 pitches or so. Maybe I have that stat wrong, but he walked twice and 9 of the pitches he didn't even swing at, Yo, Nick, go after Nick. You keep bringing up all these names, right? Boehm or Nick or Trey. Go get them. They're easy to get. Go get them. I'll put Bryce on. Go ahead, have first. A walk won't beat us. And they were right. I'm just saying, in theory, put Bryce on and go after all these other names, besides maybe Kyle. Everybody else is most likely going to fail. And that's their approach. So I can't really blame Bryce, but everybody else, fair. This is where I get myself into the debate with the ones that look at this team and look at the last couple of years and say the offense going quiet is who they are. Because there is truth to that. Duh. I sit here and watch every damn game just like all of you. I say it. I know they go through peaks and they go through valleys. With that said, though, what you do when you bring that up is forget how great the offense is. Like, we're talking about them failing last year 1 win away from the World Series. This is their first playoff game of the year. 2 years ago, you're talking about the offense going quiet when it's game 6 and they got no hit. I don't want to speak about it, but we're talking about the World Series. That's the wild card, NLDS, NLCS, and the 4th series back in 2022 before it, quote, fell apart and they got quiet. There is a massive upside to this offense that I don't despise. I can't say like, well, this is who they are. But like, not really. Like, yes, it does happen, but it's happened 4 series into it, 3 series into it. It's game 1. We're just getting started. There's a flip side to their quietness that they show a lot of the time to get deep into the playoffs 2 years in a row. That's in there, and I demand it now. So that's where I get myself sort of tied in a knot when assessing who the Phillies are and what their offense is and what my expectations are. And is it so fundamentally flawed that I can't expect better performances than what we just watched against the Mets? And I guess a counter argument could be you never know when the valleys are going to come or when the peaks are going to come. And because you take this calculated risk roster-wise, maybe it did work for you for a little bit of time in 22 and 23. But when you roll the dice that much, it's eventually going to show its ugly head maybe earlier in the run. And that's fair. That's fair. I don't really have a rebuttal for that. So here I am countering myself. This team has me so down bad after game 1 that I'm literally debating myself. Oh, my God. What the hell? The hell? What the hell? It's unbelievable.
When will it break right for us? When? I mean, all the magic from 2022 just is disappearing every day. This just isn't the same Phillies team that went to the World Series 2 years ago, and just no offense, no clutch ability, terrible bullpen deployments, nothing breaks our way. The umps tried to hand us this game and we couldn't take it. Trey Turner, what does the guy do? He grounds into the same ground ball every single time he's up to the plate. And it's just like, he's completely useless. And it's just like, oh my God, what are we doing, man? Like the magic from 2022, it's done. And we can't win the same way we did that year. And something's got to change. I don't know what else to say. It sucks. The Eagles suck. Everything sucks.
Nick Sirianni was there, though, so some are tying his energy and his mojo has now eliminated another offense in town, which is kind of rough and kind of a little harsh, but the other side of me thinks, well, there's probably truth to it, right? I don't think the umpires tried to hand it to us because of one call that was highly mentioned on a 2-0 count to Iglesias. Bryson Stott dealt with something very similar right after that at-bat that didn't get mentioned at all. They got that extra run there, which the score was a little bit out of reach, but that shouldn't change the fact that the umpire said that he didn't complete the catch. Like, this is an NFL down at second base when the Mets scored their 6th run. Turner was picked off at first base, and they screwed that one up. Kyle Schwarber in the 5th inning on a 2-0 count got hosed, and I mean hosed. It could have been a 3-0 count. Instead, it was 2-1. The at-bat did not be what it could have been at that particular time. So, I mean, we can't just look at one pickoff play and one strike call and say the umps tried to give it to us, because that happened with us as well. It just wasn't pointed out as aggressively, so no one will bitch as much. But I digress. I really don't think the umpires, I think they were bad because they're always bad, and umpires suck at their jobs, and it was equally bad on both sides. I thought the broadcast did a horrible, and I mean horrible job shoving the genitals of the Mets in their face all day long. And that's why it probably sounded that way. The Magic. Let's talk about the Magic for a second, because that's an interesting term. A lot of baseball fans look at the Mets right now with the Magic because of their pestiness. And here's what I want to change that word magic to, because it does make the team think differently. The word's expectations. The word is expectations. It's hard to be the team that's supposed to win and do it. I demand you to do it. But the Eagles, after they won the Super Bowl in 2018, I remember vividly listening to Zach Ertz talk about how much talent was in that locker room, and it was even significantly more than the one they had the year before. Things crumbled. Things crumbled. Nick Sirianni, the year after the Super Bowl, things crumbled. And as much as 23 was a fun run, 22 was so magic that the expectations in 23 wasn't the same as it was this year. So what's happening in my eyes is this team is having trouble trying to figure out how to actually accomplish the goal when the expectations are to do it instead of playing with house money. The Mets, house money. Going into CBP, it's going to be such a crazy electric ballpark. You're facing Zack Wheeler. You're throwing a dude that, first off, barely has any MLB experience, let alone he's coming off injury, and he throws a pretty pleasant couple of innings, if you will, and then you go to David Peterson, and your bullpen is strong, and you win that game. There's no expectations. So it might come down to it by the end that it's less about magic and it's more about they don't know how to win when they're supposed to win. And that's a problem. It's a huge internal problem. Because I heard Rob Thompson talk about how this Mets team, they don't go away. So if you are in a position where you have the lead, you have to put them away. You have to. And the team couldn't. Sometimes you're not going to be able to. And then I need my bullpen to get me 6 outs, especially your best bullpen arms. But Rob knew. Rob knew. That was the message that was delivered prior to the first game. For whatever that's worth. It's interesting, though. That's for sure.
I really hoped that this wasn't going to happen, but I couldn't help but feel the Phillies were going to find a way to screw this up. I know it's only game 1, but they've never won a series after losing the first game. And you can be record-setting for the first couple of months, but when you're after the All-Star break for 2 months, you're second to the White Sox, who are the literally worst team in history. That's not a slump. That's inconsistency. And it showed tonight. The bats couldn't show up, and Wheeler had to pitch lights out. He might as well have pitched the rest of that game to give us hope.
So, hold on a second.
Fan mania.
Hold on a second. The 2024 Philadelphia Phillies. Let me take a look at this. I want to look at their win-loss split in September. They were 15-11 in September. They were 15-13 in August. So in the final 2 months, they had a .536 win percentage and a .577 win percentage. There were times where the Phillies were playing brutal baseball, and people looked at it like, oh yeah, take a gander at how that lines up with some of these other teams. Like the Chicago White Sox lost how many? I don't even know. It was so many, I can't even count. But to act as if the team was playing like the Chicago White Sox were playing when they went, what is this, 6 games over 500? 4 plus 2 over the last 2 months. Not that that's world beaters. It's not world beaters. It's not world beaters. But they played 6 games over 500 the last 2 months of the year. That's not bad baseball either. Right? Like, it's not the hottest team on planet Earth, but it's nowhere close to a team that lost 397 games like the Chicago White Sox. So there's truth to the one early crazy, beautiful run where they pulled away from a lot of teams early, and I'm not going to knock them for that. And then they went through a rut, for sure, just like every other team did. The Yankees, people are ready to chop their heads off up in New York because of how putrid the Yankees looked during a section of the season, just like every team did. The Mets, their fans wanted to trade everyone at the deadline. Steve Cohen is an absolute joke. Their new president of baseball ops wasn't actually what they were sold he'd be, and then they played better baseball. So every team has it, just in different areas. And to end the season 15-11 in the last month and 6 games over 500 in the last 2 months as a total package is not some disgusting way to head into the playoffs by any means. By any means. So that doesn't tell the full story. I get that. And quite frankly, at this particular time, it doesn't really matter. It's about the now. But I do think it's ludicrous to act as if they were some dysfunctional piece of crap right before the playoffs began, and we were just hoping randomly that they could play good baseball. They were playing good baseball. Playing good baseball. They're playing fine baseball. When they went to the World Series, this will be my last thing before we wrap things up. So 2022 Phillies schedule, and we'll do this with 23 as well. Because you want to hear about some September numbers? I'll give you some September numbers. So their schedule and results, season summary. No, I don't care about their 22 when you win. Okay. They were 11-14 in September. So they were 3 games under 500 in September, the year they won or went to the World Series, the year they won the National League and represented the National League. And then with the 2023 squad, in September, they went, I'll find it. I know, terrible by me. I apologize. You'd think maybe I could, next season might be an easier way to do it. Okay, I know this is riveting stuff. Schedule and results. More pages. Nope. Not what I needed to hit. Here we go. They were 2 games over 500 in September last season. So there's info for you. All right. Anyway, that'll do it. Woohoo. What an ending. Just like the way this Phillies game ended. Garbage. Talk to you guys later.